Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate today. And today, I thought we could give thanks to Hearthstone by taking a look at cards like, let's say, Ethereal Oracle, a slightly powerful card that's probably going to get nerfed. We'll talk about that in another day. But yes, a 3 mana card, spell damage +1, spell burst, draw 2 spells. Compare that to the old Azure Drake, which was so good. Auto-included decks, got Hall of Famed, and it just drew 1 card, not even a spell. And yeah, this card kind of obliterates that, and we're gonna go through the Great Dark Beyond and see what other cards make old cards just look a little bit silly, or maybe not so much. We'll take a look at some examples. Of course, feel free to share your own. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as we're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. One of the main mechanics of this expansion, Starships, has one companion here, the Soulbound Spire, a 3 mana 2/2 death rattle. Summon a minion with cost equal to this minion's attack. It reminds me of the old Piloted Shredder. It does have better stats, it's a mech, but this thing scales with, buffing, gives you a starship piece, and it's a pretty darn good card, and, well, probably one of the only starship pieces you want to play that isn't the armor gaining card. Speaking of that card, the Arcanite Defense Crystal, 4 mana 3/4 taunt death rattle, gain 6 armor. It's a starship piece, so you can bring it back. This card we're going to compare to is literally in standard right now. Thick Hide Kodo, it's got 1 more health, and I think it's a beast, but it gives less armor, and it's a class card to boot, and it's not a starship piece, and ironically, Druid is using Arcanite Defense Crystal right now to just gain 1,000,000 armor with that hydration station. It's kind of funny to take a look at. A more recent example, and you can make some arguments against this one, but Airlock Breach, the 6 mana Blood and Unholy spell, summon a 5/5 undead with taunt and give your hero +5 health. Spend 5 corpses to do it again. And we all know Vampiric Blood at 2 mana, so a lot cheaper, does the same effect except just the 10 health. It doesn't give you board fill of taunts that could give you more corpses. They're undead and Trinai as well. It's a triple rune card. This is 2 single runes, so very discoverable, way better in a lot of ways, but to be fair, Vampiric Blood's cheaper and does draw that card, which I didn't mention, but still pretty crazy that this feels, for the most part, way better than a triple rune card. People say that the crewmates are not insane with Headhunt here, dealing 2 damage and you get a 4/4 crewmate with a random bonus effect. That's incredible. You could summon them. It's not that great, but still, Arcade Shot, remember that? It's a bit more of a stretch, but still, 1 mana deal 2 used to be the basis. Now we're getting crewmates. Okay, there's like Flame Geyser and like 1,000,000 other cards, but I just thought I'd throw out that, yes, this card's probably not that bad, is it? Okay, it's not amazing. Another pretty wild example is Infiltrate, the 3 mana AoE spell for Demon Hunter. You choose a minion, deal 3 damage to all their minions, so you can put it on your own, which is nice, but sometimes you gotta targeted opponents, and maybe it's not amazing. However, you compare it to like Fire Sale or Excavated Evil, a mana cheaper for a bit more flexibility, sometimes downside. Flexibility, pretty crazy, but then it's Demon Hunter, so it seems like 0 play, but I feel like any other class, this AoE would be pretty crazy, but yeah, Demon Hunter just doesn't care. And I feel like for these videos, I need to have like the Arcane Intellect category, because I feel like every single expansion, Arcane Intellect gets murdered. There's 2 cards right now. We have Warp Drive, or you could say Ethereal Oracle too, by the way. Warp Drive, draw 2 cards, so Arcane Intellect. However, if you're building a starship, they cost 2 less. And of course, Paladin also has the Libram of Clarity. Draw 2 minions, so like 2 cards. It's a tutor, often just better. If this costs 0, you get a buff on that. So this is very easy to discount. And tutor itself, it's just funny that Arcane Intellect is like just the most irrelevant card now. And it used to be for a very long time a good card, but I guess it's a good basis to go off of. Astral Phaser is another card that's pretty much strictly better than an old card. 2 mana, choose 1 spell. You deal 2 damage to 2 random enemy minions, or you can make 1 dormant for 2 turns. Arcane spell. Cleave is just crying in a corner. Poor Cleave. And that card did see play way back in the day. Wasn't great, wasn't phenomenal. But yeah, Astral Power definitely got some power. Oh wait, we can't use the buzzword. We can't use the red herring. We can't say power creep. Oh wait, yeah, power creep, whatever. We're gonna say it. Just dare me. Cosmic Phenomenon, although not a super meta card yet, I do think it will at some point. It's a pretty crazy card. 5 mana arcade spell. You summon 3 2/3 elementals with taunt, and if your board is full, you give your other minions +1/+1. There's arcane synergies. Just compare that to the nerfed force of nature of getting 3 2/2 treants. To be fair, again, there is synergies where you can, you got treants, you can discount a bunch of stuff. You probably want to play that in a treant deck over this, I guess. But let's say another example, Webweave. That's a real card. It came out at some point. You get 2 1/2 poisonous spiders. Oh, not a good card. And I know it taught, poisonous can be better than taunts, but still, come on. This is just so much better in most ways. Extraterrestrial Egg. I can't believe this card is still not meta right now. To me, it's nuts. 2 mana, 0/2 egg. Death Rattle, summon a 3/5 beast that attacks the lowest health enemy. So it's like a proactive Death Rattle for Hunter, and the Nerubian Egg, which has been a great card for a very long time. Very recently in Deathlight in particular, because of the undead synergies. This is way better than that in most ways. Same stats, but you get higher health. This thing attacks. It's a beast. And yeah, it's not really in any top tier lists yet. And I thought this is like a 5-star card all the way. It turns out you need the right support, and it just isn't there yet, which is pretty wild. Spontaneous Combustion, a new mage spell. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy. If you played it elemental the last turn, choose the target. It's 2 mana, and I compare this to the old Flame Cannon, which is just 2 mana, deal 4 damage to a random minion. And I actually, my first ever Legend Climb had this card in it because it was really good at hitting Shade of Naxxramas, which was a very good, basically Druid card at the time. There is the advantage though, where yeah, it always hits a minion, so that Shade of Naxxramas, way more likely to die. Other than that, yeah, pointing this face, pointing at what you want, much better card overall. Priest has got a pretty good card here that sees a lot of played standard in the aggro list. The Overzealous Hero, a 1 mana 3/3 deny. Death Rattle restores 6 health to the enemy hero. Spell Burst, silence this minion, take that heal away. You couldn't do that with the old Zombie Chow, which had less stats, and at the time, I don't even know, does it? I'm not looking at the graphic right now. At the time, it didn't really have like a minion type, and yeah, this card is much, much better. But at least it's class card versus neutral, and there's been a lot of time. Probably more acceptable, but still, this is a lot better. Do a barrel roll. For 3 mana, you can deal 5 damage to an undamaged character, costs 1. If you're building a starship, so this gets to be dirt cheap, and the old Shadow Strike, which does have that Shadow spell tag on it, didn't at the time, does now, has that advantage. However, this can be, especially a Sonya, repeated over and over. And yeah, Starship Rogue's pretty good. And yeah, they don't play this card. It's not efficient enough, even at 1 mana. So there you go. Power Creep, still not even worth playing. We have the Shaman card Nebula. I'm going to start off showing the regular one, and now let's switch over to the beautiful one, where you discover 2 8-cost minions to summon with Taunt and Elusive. Compare that to the old mage spell, which, to be fair, 1 mana cheaper, Power of Creation, discovering 2 6-cost minions, and that's it. These get Taunt and Elusive, and if you've played Arena at all, you know this just ends the game most of the time. Incredible card. If this ever becomes reliably cheated out in Standard, which, by the way, I have a screenshot of someone playing this on 2 mana on turn 4, in Standard, yes, that's possible, just not consistent, then this will be an absolute force and makes Power of Creation absolutely silly in comparison. The Dimensional Quarry neutral starship piece, which recently got buffed, 2 mana 2/2 Divine Shield starship piece, so that's pretty good. It's literally shielded mini bot, so does it really power creep on it? Well, in some ways, because you could bring it back, but honestly, I probably take the mini bot because mech synergies overall way better, magnetics, discounters. I'll gotta go with that one, but I guess the 3/2 version of this puts Scarlet Crusader to shame, and we all know Scarlet Crusader was, well, I actually saw play in like Classic kinda, but yeah, it's a bit of a reach. Another pretty much just strict upgrade, we have Brain Gill, the 2-mana 2/1 Murloc. Battle Cry, give all friendly Murlocs Death Rattle, draw a card. That includes itself, which basically makes it a better loot hoarder, right? It's a 2/1 Death Rattle, draw a card. This is a 2/1 Death Rattle, draw a card. Maybe give other minions draw a card. It's only worse in that, like, it can't be tutored as a Death Rattle card. It also can't, if it's revived, it doesn't come back with its Death Rattle. So there's a little bit of, you know, positives for that other card, but overall, yeah, Brain Gill's just a bigger brain card, and you probably want to play it most of the time over the old loot hoarder. And creates a pretty crazy one to take a look at. Like, very good card. Sees play, 3-mana 2/4 deny. Whenever another minion is overhealed, give it that much extra health. You compare that to the old Light Steed, 4-mana 3/6, I think a beast, where I get +2 health for like your healing effects. Like this, it's so much easier just to overheal by a bunch and give way more stats for a lot cheaper. And yeah, Lightsteed sucked. This card's good. They probably got it right, but my goodness, this card is so much better. Eridar Brute's a card that hasn't taken off a ton. It sees a little bit of play. The 7-mana 5/6 demon. It's got taunt, lifesteal. It costs 1 less for each enemy minion. This is not the first 7-mana neutral taunt to do this, where we had the old card, the Rabble Bouncer, which was just a 2/7. It did have 1 more health, but no lifesteal, no tribe, and actually saw a tiny bit of play. This card saw, I think it saw a bit of play, but overall, this card so much better in almost every single way, including the art. That is actually phenomenal. I mean, Kill Jaded power creeps on like a lot of things, giving you infinite value, non-fatigue, infinitely scaling demons, but we'll go with Archivist Elysiana, where that was kind of run for the same reason. You put in a bunch of cards in your deck. At one point, you would just bounce it and control warrior mirrors and get to the turn limit because the fatigue wouldn't factor in 45 turns. But this, you have exponentially growing, like constantly growing demons. It never ends, which is typically better than discovering 5 cards in your deck. Although sometimes, you know, it might be better with those, especially the warrior cards, but overall, Kill Jaded's pretty darn ridiculous at, you know, deleting your deck. And plus, like, Steam Cleaner would blow up your Elysiana. There's nothing to stop this Kill Jaded. And lastly, I gotta go with what I think is the most extreme case of power creep from this expansion. Splitting Space Rock, the 8-mana 8/8 elemental with Death Rattle, summon 2 4/4 splitting boulders. Those give you 2 2/2 splitting stones. Those give you 2 1/1 pebbles. And this card is basically the old splitting Festoon, I think it's called. Takes it and just doubles everything. That was a 4/4 that gave you a 2/2 and a 1/1. It was terrible back in the day. Saw 0 play, wasn't even gonna arena pick. This card, you can pick it in arena. You definitely like to Nebula this in any format, and it is just infinitely better in almost every way with the elemental tribe, all that good stuff. It's, yeah, basically, what is that old card doing? And I think the old one was an epic. This is a rare. Unbelievable. So let me know in the comments down below what you agree with. Do you think these are not power creep or anything? Or just any examples that I happen to miss? And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.